Today we're talking about the lenses I use for the Sigma FP as well as the Lumix S5. But first, if you're new to the channel, my name is Anson, and on this channel we talk about filmmaking, specifically filmmaking gear, tutorials, and a look at the projects that I'm working on. And so if that's something you're into, consider subscribing. I haven't done that in a while. Moving on. This past week, I posted a YouTube short giving you a glimpse of the lenses that I'm using for the Sigma FP in the Lumix S5, and that got a ton of views, surprisingly. And so I felt like it was a good time to make a full-length video talking about the lenses that I'm using for these two cameras and possibly why I've chosen those specific lenses. Now, before I dive in talking about the lenses that I use for both of these cameras, I do want to give the clarification that while some of these lenses are Sigma Cine lenses, they can be on the pricier side. I do want to remind you that the optics for those lenses are modeled directly after the photo version Art Series lenses, specifically the HSM model from Sigma. So when we start talking about the Sigma Cine lenses, if you do like the results optically from those lenses, know that while you may be sacrificing some of the aspects of the Cine housing, the optics are going to be the same exact optics that you'll find in the photo Art Series lenses from Sigma as well. So with that out of the way, let's dive in and talk about the lenses that I'm using for the Sigma FP and Lumix S5, starting first with the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 DGDN. Now this is the lens I'm going to start with because this is my all-arounder. This is my go-to if I'm not sure what I'm filming that day. If I need something that's super versatile, this is the one that I'm picking up. Over the past year, a lot of the projects that I've been working on are behind the scenes filmmaking projects. And so a lot of those scenarios, I do need something that's super versatile. And so having the range of 24mm to 70mm is really helpful for those scenarios. And so that's the first lens that I'm using for these two cameras is again the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 DGDN. Now that brings me to my primary drivers, or the lenses that I gravitate to when I'm filming anything. I tend to gravitate to primes, and more specifically Cine primes. Now I have previously had Leica R's, I've also had Tokina cinema lenses, but I've actually switched back over to Sigma Cine lenses for a couple of reasons, and I want to address those before I talk about which ones I have. So a couple of those reasons are going to be things like the Sigma Cine primes are very compact cinema lenses. This is one reason why the Tokinas did not work out for me as much as I wanted them to, because I love the image that they produced, but they were massive lenses. And so they didn't really cater to the way that I shoot. I am often more of a run and gun filmmaker, and so I don't gravitate to bigger lenses. And so while these are a little bit more hefty because they're cinema lenses, they are very lightweight and compact for a cinema lens. But then also, I just love how clean and neutral the image is coming from these lenses. I love the Leica R's, and for that matter, I love the Tokinas because they gave me a very unique image, but oftentimes I found myself wanting something cleaner, maybe sharper, something that had more contrast. And so these offer exactly that. Not to mention that these are being used on more and more feature films and bigger Hollywood sets. And then the question may come up is, why did I go with the Cine version rather than save a lot of money and go with the photo versions? And it really just came down to my preference. I love the user experience of a cinema lens. I love the durability of a cinema lens. I like the fact that these have a PL mount, specifically a PLI mount. And so that's really cool to have on these lenses. You also have things like illuminated text, which is really cool. And then you also have things like you would with any other Cine lens, which is declicked aperture, a longer focus throw. And so for all those reasons, that's why I chose, and that's why I landed on the Sigma Cine lenses. But with that, let's talk about the lenses I'm using in this lineup. The first lens that I'm using is a 35mm t1.5. I love this lens. It's super versatile. It allows me to get a wider field of view, and so I use this a lot for establishing shots. But then you can also also use it for more standard shots like a talking head or an interview. And so it does allow for a lot of different versatility. And so those are some reasons why I may use the 35mm T1.5. Now the next lens I use in the set is the 50mm T1.5. And I'll be honest, this is probably my go-to lens of the set. This is one that I'm probably keeping on the camera the majority of the time. It gives me that little bit of lens compression where I can do more portraiture work or just simply isolate the talent that I'm filming. And then it also gives me more of that standard field of view as far as what I'm seeing. And so I really do love the 50mm T1.5. And that brings me to the last lens in the set, which is the 85mm T1.5. And I'll be honest, this is the newest one in the set. This is the last one that I picked up. And I'll tend to use this if I need to get closer to the subject without actually being closer to the subject. Again, I said this before, what I've been doing recently is more behind the scenes filmmaking. And so part of that is the photographer that I've been working with does a lot of family shoots. And so I'm able to step back and get a lot of the family interaction, pull out the emotions from that shoot. And so this lens gives me the ability to be a fly on the wall when it comes to filming the family that's being photographed and being able to tell the story of that shoot or of that day. And so that's one reason I love using this 85mm. And with these, this is right now my complete set. And so with that, that's the lenses that I use for the Sigma FP and Lumix S5. If you have any questions about any of these lenses, let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like. And if you're digging the overall content from the channel, consider subscribing. Thank you all for joining. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Peace.